So today I want to talk about the importance of practice. Obviously, that's common sense. I don't have to say, oh, success tip to be successful with your virtual event is to make sure that you practice. That's common sense. But I wanted to take a couple of minutes just to walk through some of the specific things that you need to be sure of that you are planning to have time to practice. Virtual events might be new to a lot of your attendees. Chances are now, not so much, as we've had a couple of weeks of getting used to this environment, but don't make that assumption. Whenever there is technology involved, there's going to be user error. Even if they are totally, technology savvy, you could be using a different technology that they haven't encountered before. And goes for both your speakers and your attendees. So don't just make the assumption that because virtual events have been going on that it's easy for people. You want to mitigate that risk wherever you can. There is user error. There's so many different conferencing tools out there, different technology options. And it's just really important to take a little bit of time on the forefront to prepare for that. So what I would suggest is, first of all, you want to make sure that you are completely comfortable with every single component of your technology. So you're going to want to bring all of your speakers and presenters in and get them familiar as well. But before you do that, make sure that you have worked out all of the kinks, even if that means getting your child or a friend or significant other or your computer and your phone or whatever it is. Practice on your own first so that you are using your speaker's time to the best, so that you're not wasting your speaker's time. You don't want to get on there, tell them you're going to have a dry run or a practice session and then be trying to figure things out on the background. So that's the first step, is just make sure that you are completely comfortable and prepared. Next, a lot of the technologies will allow you to clone your event. So I would suggest actually cloning your event. You don't just want to log in the back end and test things out. So if you have the capability to clone your event, that would be great. If you don't, create another event. It can create another event in the same platform with the same stuff that you already have. You don't have to put all the details and things in there, but make sure that you have a couple of different sessions. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to invite all of your presenters. And you can do this in multiple ways. You can set up individual times for them, or if you really think that you have it honed in and you can cover the whole thing without any hiccups and you have a, technologically savvy group of speakers, then you can do it in one swoop. Whatever you think is going to work best for your situation. And when you have that practice session with your speakers, you want to host a rehearsal that simulates the live event as much as possible. So make sure that they're on the same computer. Make sure that they're in the same room. Make sure that they're using the same internet connection. And a tip I would say is, if it is possible to have them hardwire into their router, I would highly suggest that. My router is downstairs on the opposite side of the house. And you can do two things. You can buy a booster that has another outlet and you can just plug it into your computer, or you can buy a super, super long cable. And that's what I intend to do when I launch my live event. I plan to buy a booster and plug the booster directly into my computer. Especially now, most of the technologies, they're leveraging Zoom as the video stream that goes into your event platform provider. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had Zooms dropping. My face will come in and out. The audio will go in and out. There's just so many people on Zoom right now. So you really want to make sure that you can mitigate any of those risks if you can. So once you communicate that everybody's on the same thing, doing the same, simulating that live experience, you want to run the session that you're having or that you're going to have with them. They don't have to run through it. Now, obviously, practice makes perfect. The more practice, the more presenting that your speakers have the opportunity to do, the stronger their presentation becomes. And if they're willing to do a full dry run with you, that's a great opportunity for you to provide them feedback on little places within their presentation that you think they could really hone in and tap into what your target audience's problem is and how they can help solve it. Because remember, with everything that you're doing, you are solving a problem. That is the goal. The overarching purpose of your event is to solve somebody's problem, help them, provide them with the tools, services, whatever it may be, to solve their problem. So if you have time to allow them to present their entire presentation, that's a great opportunity for you to listen through the ears of your attendees so that you can then give them that feedback, not asking them to change their presentation, but if they're telling a story, maybe modify the story in a little bit that it's really going to resonate with your audience. So if you do that, that's bonus, that's awesome. If not, I still strongly encourage you have at least a tech dry run. And when you do that, you're going to want them to log in. This is why I was saying clone your event. You're going to want them to log in exactly as they would on presentation day. Make sure they're familiar with where their presentation is, how to open it, how to share their screen, how to have them practice switching back and forth from sharing screen. Type questions in the comment box so they can see the comments as they're coming in and they're familiar with what that looks like. If you are switching it to a hot seat or allowing attendees to do live Q&A, practice that. Have them switch their microphone. Recognize how to allow somebody with their hand raised or somebody with a question to go live. Make sure that every single presenter is comfortable with every single situation that may arise. Excuse me. So, make sure that they understand the presentation capabilities. If you're doing breakout sessions, make sure that they understand how to switch to those breakouts. Now, you are going to be the expert on this, and for the most part, you or someone from your team is going to be on the back end managing all of that. But in the middle of a live event, even though you're there to manage it, you still want your attendee to be equipped, you still want your speakers to be equipped with anything and everything that may possibly arise. So those are just a couple of things to keep in mind when you're practicing. And then another thing that you can do to really take it a step above for your attendees. So everything else I was just talking about was for your speakers, making sure that everything is completely dialed in, completely honed in, and they know exactly what they're going to do come event day. But for your attendees, like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be user error. Hopefully you're going to have a question and answer page. You will have answered a lot of the technology stuff in your Facebook groups and your pre-marketing emails and all of those things. But a lot of times it takes it resonating, it takes people hands-on. So if time allows, a way that you can really provide some value to your audience is do a dry run for them. Well, before you do a dry run, I would suggest creating a guide for them. Screenshots, details, and send that out a day or two before the event so that they have a printed list or something that they can reference should they be having questions. People are still going to ask questions. They just are. It's easier to chat in a chat box and ask a quick question. But having that guide, it will reduce some of the questions that you get in there, and some of the stuff might just answer itself. If you have the opportunity and want to take it one step further, you can create that guide for your attendees and then host a dry run for your attendees. So you would promote it basically as if you were doing something like, sneak peek into, whatever it may be. If you're doing a contest at your event, this might be a great opportunity to announce your conference. And rather than doing it in a Facebook Live, which is probably, or Facebook video or email, which is probably how you've been communicating with your attendees up until this point, tell them you're going to go live in the platform. Let them log in, let them access that session, let them get familiar with the technology. And that, again, is just going to reduce the number of questions you get on event day. It's going to help them feel more comfortable. If they're stressed out about it, if they're getting frustrated, it's going to ease a lot of that. And it's really just going to overall provide a better experience for your attendees. So, practice makes perfect, as they always say. And in the virtual event digital space, it's technology. There's going to be user error. There is the potential for hiccups. I mean, you have that in a live event experience as well, right? Just because you have a professional AV team doesn't mean that the right slide might not come up at the right time. There's risks associated with doing live events. I mean, I just sat here and sneezed and my phone's going off, right? You just got to roll with it. However, being prepared, practicing through some of those things, and making sure that you are 100% completely comfortable with that technology, thinking through every single potential type of interaction that may occur during your event, and make sure that not only you understand how to manage all of that, but everybody else who is involved has a level of understanding how everything works. So That's pretty much it about practice. There are a lot more details and specifics depending on the individual components of your event. And are you doing panels and are you doing this? So, really when you're planning your practice session, when you're planning your tech rehearsal, your dry runs, whatever it is that you're doing to set yourself up for success, make sure that you are going through your agenda and that you are practicing every single thing that you are going to be doing at your live event. So I hope everybody's had a great day. Great week. Tomorrow is Saturday. I hope that you take some time and remember that tomorrow is Saturday. Do something that you haven't done all week. Step away from the computer. I'm having to tell myself that all the time. But tomorrow I will be here at 2:30 and we are going to talk about staffing needs. Staffing needs leading up to your event, staffing needs on the day of your event, because there are a handful of things that you may or may not be thinking about that I just want to bring into your awareness to make sure that you are as prepared as you possibly can be when it comes time for your event. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.